Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the Yak-9T sitting at 4.0 battle rating in the Soviet line. One of the big guns, the big early on guns, 45mm, 37mm. The K has the 45 of course, we reviewed that. Now we have the T. I already said with the K that I really prefer the smaller calibers like the machine guns, but also the 20mm cannons, which is still a small caliber. It is steady bullets all of the time. You can basically default out any major RNG, and with these guns you will have RNG. And of course, shooting close by and shooting in short salvos, 1, 2, pop, 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 is the way to go in that sense. But sometimes I get frustrated with these guns, and I start to, when I miss the first two, miss the first 4 shots, I start to spam them often, and it's just not made for me, man. I need my normal calibers. I'm more perfect with that. Still though, the fun in this is to get these shots to land and to explode planes. Big explosions and shenanigans are what comes out of these big guns, and that's the fun part of it, and I have to say that it functions. It is a good plane. I'm over 3-to-1 kill death ratio, just barely, because I had a bad run. I didn't hit a barn. Oh, that was terrible the other night. You can in these kind of planes you can definitely get bad runs, because as you get more frustrated, you hit more shots, you take less time, your aim gets worse, and the frustration starts to turn on around. And I should know better than to continue, but I was looking for an extra match with some interesting footage, and I just had a bad run that completely ruined my almost 5-to-1 kill death ratio in this plane. Right, yep. Those bad days, man. In the end it would even out, I'm sure. If I play 100 matches or 200 matches in this thing, you might get back to close to 5-to-1 kill death ratio. But god damn it, can you have bad games in high caliber planes with the big guns. Big guns, big misses as well, big frustration. Also with these puffs, man, sometimes you make these big guns hit and you get puffs of smoke or hits. Well, you would want them to explode, of course. That's what you want in this place. But yeah, so they are both interesting, fun, but also frustrating to fly. Happy moments, great shenanigans combined with very frustrating ones. That is the experience in the Yak-9T and the Yak-9K. But we're looking at the Yak-9T right now. 4.0 battle rating, no WEP on this plane, no emergency powers. Maximum speed at sea level 521, at 4,500 meters 468, and at 6,500 meters 408. This is in indicated airspeed. This plane has slightly better speed than the Yak-9, but the Yak-9 sits at 3.0 battle rating. And there that speed is quite decent. At 4.0 battle rating, that speed slightly improved, 15 kilometers an hour faster on the deck, 10 kilometers an hour faster on 6,500 meters. That increase with that full battle rating makes the speed a little bit less interesting on this plane. It is not as fast as the Yak-9 is at 3.0 compared to its competition. This plane is somewhere in the middle, basically, somewhere in the pack. It's not in the top, it's not at the bottom, but it's not as fast as it was on 3.0 anymore. The top speed in a dive is the same, it's the same frame. So you have a 649 red line with a 725 rip speed. Control stiffening starts at around 400, 425, and the second big tick comes at 525. So that's also very similar to the Yak-9. Stall speed is a little bit less good with the bigger guns, a little bit heavier. The stall speed lies around 130 for this plane, which is alright. It's better than average, let's say that. The firepower is good. You have a 1 the 37mm NS37 cannon with 30 rounds for its gun, and you then have support for that gun from a 12.7mm Beresin UB machine gun with 200 rounds. This is a great machine gun, by the way. I used air targets on the 37mm and ground belt on the Beresin. Of course, you can also use stealth on the Beresin. That works fine. There's several other belts that can work. I like the combination of shells that the ground belt has to offer, but if you get used to these guns, as I am slowly getting the Beresin, but of course I had the 37 to work with this time. That's the main gun, so I just thought, let's get some fireworks out, some tracers on this thing. I used a 600-meter convergence in there, which is the convergence that I usually do. On this plane you basically don't really need a convergence, or you could also put it at a max at 800 meters, because you have centrally mounted guns, so it doesn't make a whole lot of difference there. So good firepower, but it can be quite frustrating, and it can be fun, like here. Shooting a B-25 with the second shot is awesome. That's the shenanigan explosions that we're talking about. Yeah. Ammo loads are decent on the 37. 30 rounds is alright, and good on the Beresin machine gun. Acceleration in the plane in a straight line is good. In a dive it's very good if you go in a very steep dive. Energy retention in the horizontal is good, and in the vertical is very good. This plane functions really nicely as an energy fighter below 4,000 meters. That is where she is in her element. Higher than that and the performance really starts to suffer a lot, and you want to avoid that. So you basically, I would still climb, get this plane up and work from there, but side climb, wait for the battle to develop and then come into the middle of the map. These dogfights like here, where we have planes above us, planes around us and planes beneath us, are very interesting, but you gotta have your head on a swivel, and it's better to have teammates with you as well, which I have in this case. I'm gonna move towards them here, but this plane really functions well with short boom and zoom rolls, and then the energy fighting roll, which is can feel very well above 4,000. It is still very frustrating though to have boom and zoom attacks by a dedicated boom and zoomer. Someone who knows how to fly a plane like that. For example, this Typhoon, but this Typhoon stays very close and he doesn't extend very much. Still, I'm struggling with the shots here. One of my early matches in the plane, and really had to get used to it again. 37 is not as RNG like the 45mm. It has less spread, but it still has more spread than anything you usually fly with the Schwaks and the Skas machine guns and the cannons. The climb rate in this plane is decent, actually good up to 3500 about, and beyond that it's gonna slack off a little bit as the performance starts to suffer and the engine starts to fail. Well, not fail, but you know what I mean, it starts to sputter. The turn time in this plane is above average, decent with flaps. These flaps on these Yaks though, I mean the flaps on this plane rip off at around 360, 370, and that's really not good. It's really terrible. This plane has very good acceleration, and in a dive, and if you're making loops, you 370 is, you make that in an instance, and you go back to slightly above average turn time. With flaps it's quite decent though. But yeah, the rip speed on those flaps is definitely nothing to write home about. And all the Yaks have this problem. So yeah, it is. You use it on the top of your loop or in a dedicated turn, in a flat turn that is extended to a few rounds, right? And well, that's how you go about it. Very careful with those flaps. The roll rate in this plane is decent. That's alright. This plane is still flying, is black, but I'm still gonna shoot at him because I want him out of the picture. Very annoying, those planes that have been killed more or less but are still flying around. I've seen people get killed by those kind of planes. I always want to remove them. Overall maneuverability is then also decent. There is overheating in this plane. It's very present. Especially the oil starts to heat up fairly quickly when you fly 100% extended. You really need to manage your throttle there and make sure that you take it down to 96, 95%. That's what you fly with, and if you come into battles, you engage 100% throttle, and you move from there. As I said, no war emergency power, so no little oomph to make the performance a little better in your loops and stuff like that. But that is life. It is still very manageable because it does cool off fairly quickly, and yeah, I didn't really have major problems with it, but it is something you have to pay attention to. As you see me going in the amber, both the oil and the water here, as I've been flying 100% for quite a while already. The durability in this plane is good, I would say. It can take a hit or two. It is not a flimsy plane that falls apart very quickly. Also, the engines, when hit, will fly quite a bit. I've seen much worse, and yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I like the durability on this plane. There's also a armored glass in front of the pilot and on the back, with an armored plate in the seat. So this plane has some pilot protection there as well. That is significant. Pilot snipes are, well, they do happen, of course, as you present, if they come from an angle where those plates are not involved. But if they come from those angles, you only very rarely get pilots. A nice thing to have there. So yeah, man, the Yak-9T, a dedicated energy fighter that can turn in a pickle as well with flaps. It has some decent maneuverability, which really help you out in maneuvering against most boom and zoomers and energy fighters. You will be able to maneuver with them. Of course, dedicated turn fighters will be able to outturn you, but even then, I mean, a good pilot, equal pilot will outperform you. But if you face a worse pilot than you in a dedicated turn fighter in a Yak, you might still be able to outmaneuver them because your reflexes are that much faster. So it's really a plane that gives you quite the fluid flight style. You can also do some short boom and zoom runs. Of course, you have very limited dive speed, so you need to keep those runs short. But it's where I like to start, like here, 5,000 meters on the edge of the map, trying to get stragglers, like this one, this Hellcats. Try to get them out of the way, and here I'm getting a little bit frustrated. Eventually I get a shot to hit and take his complete tail off, but it took me 9 shots. That is a little bit much. You want to shoot a plane down within 5 shots basically, so you can last yourself the whole match with those shots and get 5 to 6 planes. That is possible, but you gotta spend some time in the Yak-9T to be that efficient. I usually didn't manage it. I used rounds too many, but once you get used to that shot, and it went better and better as time passed in the plane, then you will be able to finish matches with that ammo load, and that is always nice. But yeah, the energy fighting role is what you want. Below 4,000 meters is where you want to fly this plane mainly, and it is in a sense a jack of all trades that can switch between the roles. It does 2 roles reasonable, the turn fighting role and the boom and zoom role, and it does 1 role very well, the energy fighting role. That's what you want to start with. But as I said, a bit of side climbing and 5,000, 5,500 meters, and you'll be able to do short boom and zoom runs, especially if you wait a little bit, if you're a little bit patient and you let planes fight it out in the middle, and planes often lose altitude then. Then you come in and you start wrecking havoc, or wreaking havoc, however you want to say it. Those 2 shots, man, one passing in front, one behind, it is just, oh, that's the frustrating part of this thing. Yeah. Take a wing, but again I took like 6, 7 shots. Yeah, it's nice when they hit and explode things. That's where that gun is freaking awesome. But For the rest, as I said, I have been frustrated a bit here and there. I was flying the I-185 after this, the more high altitude plane that the Soviets have in this rank, that has 3 20mm, and it was like a blessing coming back to the 20mm. Such reliable firepower. No more RNG shit. This is nice, one shot kill. Oh yeah, and it was my last round as well. That's why I wanted to show it to you. Awesome, awesome. But here again we went back to the airfield and we got this XP50 and we got shots in, and there you go. On the left wing, and we got a black poof with a hit. Frustrating as hell, man, sometimes. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Yak-9T, very enjoyable plane, very frustrating sometimes with the gun. But yeah, you have that RNG firepower with the big guns. That's the main thing in this plane. It provides shenanigans, it provides explosions, which is fun and good and all, and it can be very nice. But I have to personally say that I prefer a 20mm setup any day of the week, hands down. And these 37s and 45s, I can understand the fascination if you like these planes. I find it also very enjoyable to get the guns to hit and stuff like that. What I don't like about it is the RNG, where you fire 2 shots like on that J21 and you pass one right in front of it, you adjust a little bit and it goes right behind it. So you adjust it too much, but those kind of moments very frustrating. With 20mm you let out a burst, you start in front, you let it drop a little bit and you just kill the plane usually. It's much less RNG with 20mm. But that said, I did like the Yak-9T. I had a bad run there with frustration, so I messed up my kill death ratio, which was hanging around 5-1. And dropped down to 3-1, a really bad performance there. But oh well, that's life. It is a fun plane and it's definitely worth your time. Check out that 37mm, see what you think of it, and yeah, the plane will not disappoint. It's an alright plane. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.